Welcome back to Fast Market, everyone. Kevin Hinks and Joe Mazzola here for our next segment, and that is our cash tag segment. And for that, I'd like to bring in the co-founder of Likefolio.com, Mr. Landon Swan, to the show. Coming to us live from sunny Florida. Landon, welcome to the show, buddy. Happy Friday. We're talking liquids, and you've got Coca-Cola, or you've got all liquids. We actually gave you the assignment to cover all these liquids, and your data is extensive here on these names. Give us what you're looking at here, Landon.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm not going to order a rum and Pepsi like you said.
There
I don't
you go.
see it happening.
It's just an informal little poll we're taking here.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that before. Yes. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good topic today. I love it. We've got a lot of them reporting, you know, Coke's Monday before the bell, Pepsi's Tuesday before the bell, Keurig Dr. Pepper's Thursday. So, you know, there's a few of them that are coming in reporting. And when we look at the overall picture, we like to look at the trends first, like see what's affecting these companies. And, of course, it's not all apples to apples, as you guys talked about. Pepsi and Coke are two different animals. Half of Pepsi is kind of like what Coke does, and the other half Coke has no part of when it comes to snacks. But when we look at sort of the trend picture, you can see that one of the big things that we're seeing is that people are trying to follow a no sugar diet. So that's a huge trend that we're seeing. That's up about 54% on a year-over-year basis. When you look at people talking about food price concern, that's up significantly as well. And then some of the things that, you know, like, for example, snacking, that's going to hurt Pepsi. It's not going to affect Coke so much. Negative 11%. Improving energy and coffee, both of those kind of go together, and that's actually going to kind of go against Monster and Starbucks. So you've got some trends in here that are helping some and hurting others. And one of the ones that I kind of like to look at is this no sugar diet, because when you dive in and look at Coke Zero versus Diet Pepsi, Coke Zero is about a plus 27%. Diet Pepsi is a plus 4%. So they're winning there. Coke is winning there clearly. They're actually winning on the core brand as well. They're both down, but Coke's down less than Pepsi is. Even when you get into the sparkling waters, Pepsi's, it flips here. Pepsi's Bubbly is doing better than Coke's Aha, although both are down significantly, as is LaCroix's Fizz's brand, LaCroix. So they're all kind of down. All the sparkling waters are down. But overall, when you look at the picture, kind of bring those into that scatter plot that we like to do. You take a look at where the companies are. You can see that most of them are kind of left of the zero line. They're losing some purchase intent. In fact, Keurig Dr. Pepper is the only one that's picking up steam when it comes to purchase intent. They're also highest on the happiness. They're sort of in that top right area. So we like to see, that's where we like to see them, obviously. But when you compare Coke versus Pepsi, which I think is the one that everybody kind of wants to look at, Coke is doing a little bit better on purchase intent, not quite there on happiness. Starbucks, the big loser of the group of five here. And actually, of all of these reporting, we've got a few coming up next week, like I talked about. Starbucks, I think, is May 2nd. I'm not sure when Monster is, but it's not next week. Of all of these, we've got a neutral rating on all of them except Starbucks were bearish. So that's kind of the overall picture. But I would say when you go to Coke versus Pepsi, Coke's winning the battle right now.
All right, Lennon, what's Keurig Dr. Pepper doing that's kind of separating them from the rest of the pack?
Yeah, so actually, I think happiness is one of the big keys. They're up there with Pepsi when it comes to happiness, and there's not a huge spread. I mean, we're talking about, from 63 with Monster up to 68 with Coke and Pepsi, and Keurig Dr. Pepper's at 71. So it's not a large spread, but I think that's one of the biggest things that they're doing. And it's also, I think they have a more concentrated set of brands, right? I mean, you've got a lot going on with Coke and Pepsi, and so there's a lot of potential factors that could influence them, whereas Keurig Dr. Pepper's a little bit more concentrated.
Hey, Landon, when we compare something like Coke and Pepsi and then Starbucks, the first thing that pops into my head is caffeine, right? Where do people get their caffeine from? Either a cold drink or a warm drink. Starbucks trying to get into some cold coffees and things like that. Why are they lagging so far behind? What do you think the problem is at Starbucks that Keurig Dr. Pepper doing well, Starbucks doing poorly?
Right. I think a lot of it has to do with the food price concerns. I mean, going to Starbucks, I think on a percentage basis, going to Starbucks, that increase has been a lot more than the self-serve at home type products, or even buying in a store. So I think that's the biggest one. When we look at food price concern, up 24% on a year-over-year basis. Obviously, that's food, obviously, but it encompasses everything, and that includes drinks as well. Anything where you would go out and buy. So that is, I think, a big factor. Even though Starbucks has seen a lot of price strength when it comes to pricing power and flexibility with their consumers being able to pay a little bit higher, it does get painful, and I think you're just going to continue to run into those limits with inflation pushing the limits.
Yeah, Landon, I think looking at liquids and look at how they break down in the consumer staples market, I mean, we're covering a lot of consumer staples, and you know what? The one thing that's consistent with Procter & Gamble, Coke, Pepsi, they all have great-looking charts. They've all rallied quite a ways, but Landon Swan, we appreciate you coming on a Friday and breaking down this data for us. Likefolio always does a great job. We appreciate you coming on, Landon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your rum and Pepsi.
Yeah.